Hey everybody, I'm Creed, and welcome to Creed's Nightmare Creatures Episode 1. Today what I'm working on is I want to make a digital set of inks for a classic piece of mine I call Barbarian Zombie. So I originally drew this one with a Sharpie, and I still do all my drawing traditionally with a mechanical pencil. The last few years I switched to digital inks, and I want to show you some of the advantages you get from inking digitally. So the first thing I do is I fill black in on a new layer, and then I make it transparent so I can see the pencils, and then I just use the polygonal lasso tool and cut out the shape. Then I go in and I cut out all the white pieces, and I come out with a really nice set of crisp, smooth digital inks. I switched to digital to get a cleaner line than you can get from scanning traditional inks. So I switched for the look, but there's other advantages too. Digital files are easy to store and transmit, and if you ever want to composite your work into something else or combine subjects, it's only a couple of clicks to do it. The kind of jagged line quality of this piece actually suits the zombie subject, but I'm kind of OCD about how I want my art to look. My style is sleek and streamlined, heavy on the black. I like a tight, smooth black line. I ink a little differently, but I have a lot more black space in my art than a lot of people. So I produce a lot of cartoon fan art too, but I consider myself a horror artist. It's my original work like this that I come up with when I root around my brain and want to produce a piece of original art. So it's 80s cartoons that inspire my fan art, but it's 80s horror movies that inspire my personal work. I'm a big horror fan for sure. So there's a couple of times you'll see my selection gets messed with. It looks like it's my recording software battling Photoshop. I'll fix that later on. It's no big deal anyway. Anybody with a cat knows what interruptions and keystrokes you didn't mean to make. It's the same thing. There we go. The shape's cut out. Now just select and delete the white pieces. I sort of do my inking in reverse, taking away rather than adding to make my inks. Actually, this is a bit different for me. I can't think of a time I ever inked my own inks. Usually I'm inking my pencils, which are almost identical to my inks actually, because that's how I draw. I'll be doing digital colors in most of my other videos, but this one's made to be black and white. What I'm trying not to do here is lose all the detail I put in with the marker. I just want to change the line quality, but not really the line placement. Especially with this hair, what I really want to accomplish, and one of my main reasons for re-inking this, is because see at the end of some of these it doesn't come to a good point, but that was because of the sharpness of the marker that I drew it with. But here I can give it a really good point. I learned art the comic book way, where penciling, inks, colors, and lettering are all separate jobs, usually done by separate people. Inking is absolutely my favorite part of the art. Yeah, I drew this at work. I was a shipper at a metal shop, sending bronze and cast iron out all over the place. And in between calls and loading shipments, I drew this one day. I drew half of his face. And I didn't have a chance to get back to it that day. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out or not. And I was going to throw it away, because I used to be like that. If something didn't come together right away, I'd, crumple it up, throw it away. But it stuck around, and then I looked at it another day, and just in like 15 minutes I drew the whole rest of it, and I thought, wow, I'm glad I kept that. So I learned that lesson ever since. I give stuff a lot more of a chance before I decide it isn't any good. After I get this inked, I'll show you a couple of benefits to doing digital inks. I used to really love to sit down with a piece of paper and just draw something and finish the inks and colors right on one piece. My real world coloring was always color pencil. The great big box of Laurentians was awesome for that. I used to press super hard trying to get that printed look, What I do digitally now is exactly the look I was trying to get back then, before the computer age. When everything's just a layered Photoshop file, you can really do anything you want with it. Different background, glowing eyes, whatever you want to do, you can just do it super easy in Photoshop in like a minute. I know a lot of people would probably just use the pen tool for this, but if I can avoid it, I will. I can draw 3 or 4 times faster with this than I can with the pen tool. I don't have to make all the adjustments and I can just draw. It's more like using a pencil on paper. To me, anyway. So yeah, I just use the selection tool and layers to make my art. So once I have the pencils done and I'm ready to ink something, I look at it as a black shape, and then what white pieces do I need to cut out of it. So it's really reversed, but it gets me my style. I use a lot of darkness, even with my other stuff that's not horror art. Still very heavy on the inks. So what I'm doing here is 2 separate shows on my channel. This one, Creed's Nightmare Creatures, is going to have all my horror stuff that I make. And the other show, Creed Saturday Morning, is going to have all my cartoon fan art. Some of my fans only like the cartoon stuff, and other people only like the monsters. So this way, everything's clearly labeled, and you can watch either one or both shows. The cartoon stuff, you can see my style in it, but it's a lot different than this kind of art. So I don't just draw one kind of thing. You'll see that in the videos I post. Diversity of subject is part of what keeps my art machine going. So some people might, for this kind of thing, for what I'm trying to do, they'd say, oh, Illustrator. Well, if I can help it, I'd rather not use that. I can, but I don't enjoy using it. Photoshop. Oh, I can use Photoshop in my sleep. Well, some people may look at my art and say I do. I've been using Photoshop since before it even had layers. It's just such a great program, it's ridiculous. This is just the kind of style I developed over time. I think everybody starts out drawing like a couple of artists they like, or one guy. And after a while you get your own style by how you like to draw and what you like to draw. How I like to draw is a kind of emerging from the darkness kind of look. And if it's pitch black and you can only see a couple of spots where the light hits the guy, I don't strictly follow the rules of light and shadow either. If I think there's too much white space, I'll add some black. And a lot of artists work hard to put texture into their line. I want sleek and smooth. I don't want hatching or cross hatching, just contrast and shape. Even my lines are just a selection area of shape. You just have to be patient and put the time in this kind of process, right? As you can see, this is all sped up. I wish I could work this fast. A lot of what I used to use for art in the 90s was illustration board, bristle board, oversized like comic pages, a bottle of ink, a couple of dip pens with different size ends on them. Just a whole procedure. And what I found was it kept me from drawing, because I'd be like, okay, I have to do a big setup to sit down and make some art. Actually, digital inks freed me up to use, pencil and copy paper as my art, and then the rest is digital. Now I can draw free and easy anytime I want to draw compared to the old days. So this show should give you some idea what my channel's going to be. Just me shooting off my mouth and working on some art. Let's see, my handle, which I had since I first got on the internet, was like 2 or 3 months before even Hotmail started up. And that's when I first got online. Yeah, I was going to put my name into something, and my buddy goes, no man, it's the internet. It's like using a CB radio. You gotta get a handle. I was like, alright, that's cool. So Creed it was. And it's not from the band. It's not from Rocky. It's the last name of the family in Stephen King's Pet Sematary, which is the book I have read the most over any other book. I really love that book. Stephen King is kick-ass. I don't need to tell anybody that. Alright, now, so I got my inks done, and it looks remarkably similar. But let me show you here the benefits of doing that. Because it looks the same, right? Okay, put my signature on there. And you'll notice everything's on separate layers. The signature's on a layer, the white behind him's on a different layer. Here's the original, and here's the digital inks I just finished. They look similar enough to me. The original at 100%. Look, I blow it up to 200, and it's already grainy. This one's at 25, and there's a lot more leeway in it. Blow that one up more, it's a mess. Blow this one up more, perfect. Now when you get closer to 100% on the digital one, you might see some blockiness in the curves. That's just from the tool I use, but you can go back and fix that if you really need it at 100%. It just takes a little more patience. Another cool thing about the digital inks is the resolution. Actually watch, I'll put up the original at 12.5%, just like the digital one, and you can see the difference in their size. There we go, those are both zoomed in at the same percent. That's the original little one, and then there's the inks. And because I resized the file before I ink it, you get a really good, high resolution, clean, on its own layer set of inks. So let's say you want to put this into a picture. Okay, take the original, and you can select the background out of it if all you have is the low resolution one. Get the background out of there, there we go. But the thing is, it only comes out that big, and I can't really change anything on it because the black and white is all one piece. So that limits your options for what you really do with it. And I'll size it up to, let's say you want him in an alley. Look, there's a zombie. Just an example with a stock shot. So look, it's all, you can tell it's been blown up. You can look at it, she's in rough shape. But you take the one we just made and see, it's even a little too big. You gotta resize this down a little bit now. But it's perfectly smooth and clear and, you know, professional. So that's why I recommend trying digital inks on your art and just see how it works for you. Well, hopefully this has been at least mildly interesting. Thanks for stopping by. Well, if you watched this far, you might be interested in subscribing, so here's the link. I'd appreciate a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on how you feel. Comments are more than welcome. Here's a couple other videos you might be interested in watching. And so yeah, tune in next time. Take her easy.